Eagle Talk fam.
What's up, family? Welcome to episode 102.
102. And y'all, listen, you need to go ahead and forward this episode right now because we are going to give you tips for marketing to your ideal client.
Very important question if you are in business.
It is so important because I think that a lot of entrepreneurs, and I'm not even going to limit it to new people in business, but so often we can get so caught up in focusing on the good or service that we are providing that if we're not intentional about really thinking about who that good or service is for, who we are marketing to, then everything can get lost in the sauce.
So guys, this is such an important question, and we want to make sure that we hit it where you fully understand what we're talking about.
Exactly.
So why is it important to identify your ideal client?
You know, it's important for a lot of reasons, but let me just give you two that comes to top of mind. Is because like your good or service should be solving a problem. Okay. So if you are advertising or looking to solve a problem, but that person does not have that problem, then you will think that your business plan is a failure when honestly, you're just marketing to the wrong people. So let me give you a great example. So let's just say I am advertising or my business is marketing weight loss pills. Okay. It would not make great sense for me to market my weight loss pills at a place that where everyone has low body weight anyway. Yeah. Does that make sense?
Like a Lifetime.
Because maybe a Lifetime because you got some people that are trying to lose weight, right? But I wouldn't go somewhere where people are trying to gain weight, right? To market low weight loss pills. So another example is like, if I am a real estate agent, you're probably not going to see me marketing my services on a college campus, right? Because most college students are not in position at that time to purchase a home. You know, they don't have money saved. They're just starting off life. And I would be frustrated if I was a college student, a college student real estate agent. And I'm like, none of my friends want to buy a house. Well, I'm marketing to the wrong demographic. Yeah. Okay. Another reason why you want to identify your ideal client is because you want to attract the type of business to you that you actually want to do. So I will give you another real estate example because that's the lane we're in. For me, 9 times out of 10 on my advertisements, you will never see me advertising for a lease, right? Advertising that I will help you lease homes. In some situations, you might not even see me advertise for investments, right? Because that is not...
In most situations.
In most situations, right? Because that is not the type of business or commercial, right? I won't advertise for commercial because I don't want to attract that type of business. But what I see new realtors doing, they just want anything. Let me help you buy, sell, lease, invest, multifamilies, this, and this. And then when you get that, when you attract that type of business that you actually is not your ideal client, not only will you not have the greatest experience, but your client won't have the greatest experience because that is not what you specialize in. That's not where you thrive. So whereas me, I am selling a lifestyle, right? When you see me advertise, I'm advertising to someone who is looking to build their own life through where they live, and that's the type of client that I'm looking for, and that's the type of client that I'm attracting. And when you haven't identified your ideal client, we're talking to everybody, which means that we're actually talking to nobody.
Okay, so that's why you need to know your ideal client. I think if I spoke about myself and my business, I think my ideal client, and of course we're always solving a problem, but my ideal client would have some sort of pain.
Yeah.
They're in foreclosure. They're behind on taxes. They need to sell quickly for whatever that reason is. I'm not marketing or daily looking for somebody that's relocating to California in 60 days.
Exactly.
That's not the person that I'm looking for. Not that I won't buy their house, but that's not my target market.
Yeah, your target market is somebody who is in distress.
Yes.
Now, I do want to, so how does this express in different businesses, right? So I'm thinking about my photographer, right? The photographer that I work with, his ideal client is someone who is in branding or headshots. So he is really looking for business owners, execs, things like that. I think about one of my friends who is a videographer, right? He is a videographer, but weddings are not necessarily like, he's not targeting brides because he's looking to do a different type of business. And what happens is we're just casting a net that's so wide, and you're getting business. You may even be getting business, right? Sometimes it's that we're not getting the business, or you're getting the business that doesn't feel you because we're not being specific in our messaging. And I'm gonna give you a great example of when we didn't do this well. Eagle Talk, right? Yeah. When we first started Eagle Talk, we like, it's pillow talk. We gonna talk about your mama, your daddy, relationships, children, friends, them, whatever. And because our messaging was so broad, we got frustrated when there was not buy-in, right? And as we continue, we were like, well, who are we really talking to, right? Because the reality is that some of the things that we are discussing in terms of entrepreneurship and wealth building and things like that, that might not resonate with a 79-year-old retired blue collar worker, right? So we can't get frustrated when we reel them in on this promise that we're going to talk about parenting. And now when we're talking about dreaming big and they're okay with where they are, they're not engaging with us. So identifying your target audience is going to save you a whole lot of stress. And we can even look at the way that we are targeted with ads on social media and things like that. It's a reason why they're showing you what you like and not things that you don't like. It's because that is what's going to drive business that way.
Yeah, when you're talking about your ideal client and casting that web, I'm gonna make up a word here. Glennis, I want you to spell it out at the bottom. It's called all over the place ism.
All over the place ism.
That's exactly what it is, right? Because you just all over you getting so inundated with so many phone calls, like you say, with people needing so many different services. I don't know if that was you, but it was a realtor or somebody, and the lady started off wanting to buy a house, then she went to a duplex, then she wanted, you know what house hacking is, right? She wanted to do a house hacking situation. Then she just settled for, I'm gonna buy some land. You know, like where the hell did that come from?
Right. Or they were like, oh, I'm just gonna rent.
Or right.
What?
So again, your ideal client, identifying your ideal client also will save you a lot of time.
Yeah.
Because you'll just be all over the place trying to deal with a person that when they call you initially, they think they know what they want, and at the end of the day, they have no idea what they want because they're talking to so many different people. Yeah, right. The cousin got a suggestion, then their neighbor did this, and then the guy across the street, his wife died, and this happened, and they wind up doing it this way. You know what I'm saying? So it's kind of like,
and then you can't help them because they weren't the right person for you to work with. Okay, here's another reason why it's important to identify your ideal client is because then your messaging can start resonating with them. So I'll give you a great example. I have a good friend who has a tutoring company, and she has a huge passion for college planning, right? For making sure that children who otherwise would be underserved, that they have the tools and the readiness available for college planning. And she and I sat down and we really thought about who her ideal client was. And actually, her ideal client is not the student, it is the student's parent, right? So we started to think through, okay, now that we know that the parent is the ideal client, what are the challenges that the parent has, right? What are the problems? And we literally sat down and we listed the problems. So a problem of someone, they don't even know where to get started. They may be overwhelmed because they haven't saved for college. They don't even know how to get in contact with the counselors. They have some anxieties or fears around their child going far away from school, having the resources for test readiness and prep and things like that. So after we identified the problems of her ideal client, now she was able to start crafting her message. So her emails, her social media posts, her conversations when she was just out and about were answering the questions or solving the problems and pointing to her product for these parents who need to get their children ready for college. So the beauty of when you really identify your ideal client, definitely take some time, y'all. Sit, like, I don't care if you do hair. Like, if you're doing hair, if you do wigs, then think about who needs a wig, right? Is it that person that's on the go? Is it that person who has alopecia? Is it that person who likes to switch up their look? Like, think about the problems and what problems do they have? Do they have a Ford in it? Is it the vulnerability of showing you their bare, their hair as they're going through challenges? Is it the cancer patient? Like, really think through what are their challenges, and now all of your messaging is speaking directly to your ideal client, which is attracting them to you.
Yeah, I'm thinking about when I first opened up the school.
Yeah.
And
the Barber College. Everybody don't know.
Okay, yeah. I'm sorry. On the Barber College in Joliet, Illinois. 13 years?
Yeah.
14 years now. But I remember when I was driving up and down the street, literally from like the casino to Larkin, might have been about 7 barbershops. And I know that the average price is like $25 a cut, like $35 with a cut and shave. And here it is, I planted the barber school, and the highest, the haircuts were $8.
Yeah.
Between $8 and $10 at the time. And I'm knowing that the person that's paying $25 to $30 for a haircut is not going to come in here and get an $8 haircut.
Exactly.
So I had to figure out my ideal client.
Yeah. And your ideal client was, I remember like literally you looking for a location that was walkable. You looking for a location that was maybe close to a school or a church where there might be children or parents with multiples. And you plan it in a where the socioeconomics were a little bit lower. So they would, gravitate to a cost-effective resource to getting their haircut.
Yeah, and to this day, probably about 75 to 80% of my clientele are kids.
Yeah,
they're
because their dads will go get the $25 haircut, but they don't want to spend $30 on per kid.
So they would bring the kid to the school, and I'm talking like K through 8th, and then 9 through 12th.
Yeah,
up there, right? That's primarily my clientele. Then I figured out how many single women had multiple kids.
Yes.
So I started kind of,
coming up with answers, right? Answers for them. Like if you have more than 3,
right? You got 3 boys, you can come here and get these haircuts for $25.
Exactly.
For all 3, so,
exactly. Yeah. And that makes me think about, I have seen businesses where. And I bet we all everyone has probably seen a business and you're kind of like, they don't go there. Like it's a great business idea, but they didn't think through, because even thinking through location, I think can help you figure out if you are going to meet your ideal client there, right? Sure. And again, y'all, I'm telling you, so often I think that people are just kind of like, yes, I know how to bake these gourmet cakes and these gourmet cookies, and I'm gonna put up this bakery and my product is great. But if you put it, in an area where they can't afford $5 cookies for one cookie, then there's a reason for that. I'm thinking about Cookie Society. They were here for episode number 99. And their next cookie, their cookie is $5 a cookie. You know what I'm saying? So you cannot put a $5 cookie on a college campus, right? It might not be the best idea because college students are broke, right? They're trying to figure it out. Their next location is in South Lake, you know? So when you identify who is my product or service, whose problem is it solving, what problems are they solving, then go at it that way. And I promise you, I think that many times when businesses are not successful, it's not because you didn't have a great idea and you didn't have a good product or a great service, but maybe you were not clear for yourself, and then it definitely wasn't clear to the people who you were supposed to be serving.
Okay. So we talked about identifying the client.
Yeah.
Let's talk about marketing to the client. And the channels you use to market to the client. So
that is a great thing. And this is another huge one. So I think that we have to, like, everybody is on like some form of social media, right? And when I say, I'm saying everybody blanketed, but like the statistics, I don't know, like billions.
Most of the world.
Yeah, most of the world is on some form of social media. But everybody is not on every platform. So here's a great example. I'm going to take it away from if you were looking for a job. If I was looking for a job, it might not be the best place for me to post my resume on Instagram or put on Facebook. Does anybody know somebody looking for a podcast host? Right. I need to be on LinkedIn. Right. So you need to, and why do I need to be on LinkedIn? Because that's where HR professionals are. That's where people who are looking to hire are. It's more of a professional database. So I think that it's important for you to frequent, like really think through, where is my ideal client hanging out virtually and in real life, right? And I need to make sure that I'm showing up there. So I think about my real estate business. Primarily, I am marketing to a middle-aged female. Like that's about as much as I'll share. But where is she showing up? Like, yeah, is she on TikTok? Maybe, but she's definitely on Instagram 9 times out of 10, right? She's definitely in private mom Facebook groups, right? She's definitely at the nail shop. She's definitely at these bougie brunches, right? So I need to make sure that my messaging is, first of all, where she is, right? And then second of all, I need to make sure that when I show up in my messaging, that I am answering or solving a problem that she has.
Okay. So I'm gonna speak on the social piece.
Yeah.
And they always put it this way, and I guess it's pretty true. Now, let's just say, pick Instagram. Instagram is this world's now 24-hour self-made commercial. Yeah. That's literally what it is. And so many people use that platform for entertainment
and not marketing,
but not marketing for their business.
Exactly.
Yeah. So that's the way I look. Cause okay, so I don't know, last summer, most of my posts were real estate related. Something I was buying, something I was selling, house that I was walking, right? And for whatever reason, I told myself that I didn't want to post too much real estate stuff anymore. That's the exact opposite thing that I should be telling myself. Yeah. Because I need to continue to put myself out there more so people know what I do, which generates me more buyer interest and more seller interest. Yeah. But a lot of people don't utilize the platform like that. And I think that and they, a lot of times the platforms are not utilizing that way for a fear of being salesy, for a fear of not doing it appropriately. So again, we're in the problem solving mode, right? So I'm just going to give an example. If your Instagram post screams, "Hey, look at me, I'm a realtor, I'm selling houses, that's not hot, right? But if it says, "Hey, I just helped another family and they got this really dope house with a pool, and the best thing about this house is a brunch spot up the street. Text me if you want to know what brunch spot it is," right? Yeah. Now I'm providing value, I'm piquing interest, and I'm it's like, oh, you're helping somebody get there. Like, then people don't get tired of you, right? Because again, you're coming from a place of value instead of a place of, hey, look at what I'm doing. And
I will say that I do think that there is something to be said about depending on your ideal client, because people buy from people who they know, like, and trust. Mm-hmm. So I do think a certain extent we do need to show up and show a little bit of who we are. But even in showing who we are, we need to be solving a problem.
Yeah, and I also think when we're talking about, you know, ideal clients and social media, I also think you need to give the people something.
Oh, absolutely.
You have to give tangible, valuable information.
Yeah.
Right? No, I don't remember who it was, but I saw that the guidelines for, I think it was FHA went up or something like that this year.
Yeah. Well, FHA changed some things. So one, it's not the guide, their purchasing guidelines went up.
Right.
And also it's just a little cheaper on their mortgage insurance.
Okay. So somebody that is not in our industry and has a 9-to-5, come home and do the mommy daddy duties, you know, feed the kids, bathe the kids, go to bed, have weekend sports activities and all of that kind of stuff. How would they get that information if nobody tells them? Right. So
so instead of just being like, hey, I'm selling houses, like, hey, actually, I don't know if y'all know this,
there you go.
But FHA just changed their guidelines, right? So now you're piquing the interest of your ideal client.
And that sets you apart from the typical person that's just on there
walking slow in Louboutin,
right? Or just saying that they sold another house, right? So that's the angle that I'm coming from.
Yeah. So yeah, all in all, identifying your ideal client is key in any business, and not just in real estate. And listen, and it's key because once you identify who you want to serve, what problem you can solve, you can speak directly to them, and it's going to cut out so much frustration. Again, I see people every single day who thinks like, my business is a failure. Your business isn't a failure. You have just not been clear on who you should and need to be marketing and speaking to. So if you are finding yourselves like just, you know, slamming against the wall, you know, again, real estate agents, if you are looking to sell more houses, get a lease off of your, and I just want to say this, let me just back up and say this before we leave. Even though I don't market to leases, I will help somebody get a lease, right? It's just not my ideal situation, right? Because my goal is to solve the problem and get folks into gaining equity and for home ownership. But if somebody calls me and says, hey, Rosemary, will your team help with a lease? We absolutely can. And that's the same thing. Don't be so afraid, because I think sometimes we're so afraid to niche down and speak to our ideal client because we're afraid that we're going to miss other business. And it's the exact opposite. When people see you dominating and sharing value, they're going to reach out to see how you can help them too.
Well, there you go, guys. We ended the last episode with what's next.
What's next?
And this is what's next. We're going to be giving out information that you guys need. So continue to send us things that you want us to talk about, or, you know, have a conversation on. But this is what's next. I think we figured out that there's a lot of topics that we can hit.
And maybe in business, like, again, we always say entrepreneurship can be lonely, and maybe in your business you don't have anybody that you can talk to that will just help shine light on things like this, and that's what we're here to do.
So thank y'all for watching.
Bye, Eagles.
See y'all next time.